We have a call to order for the Bartlett Economic Development Commission meeting for November.
Okay.
First item agenda would be call to order, and then followed by a roll call.
Jerry Cabasso.
Here.
Cecilia Green. Donna Ware.
Here.
Robert Perry. Nayan Metha. Here. Jeff Petro.
Here.
Tracy Smadilla.
Here.
Mike Sobel.
Here.
And here's Cecilia coming in. We have a quorum.
Okay. Third item on the agenda would be the approval of the October 13th, 2014 meeting minutes.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda would be the further discussion of the EDC Video Contest recommendation we're supposed to make to the...
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. As you mentioned, this is a carryover from last meeting. We were discussing village-wide video contest, opening this up to residents to promote what they like best about the village and what makes the village special. There were several questions from commissioners last month as to what some of the uses of this would be and how it would be done and what were the economic development purposes of this. Insofar as the economic development merit of this project, the overall goal of this type of contest would be to help increase awareness of shopping and dining opportunities in the village. So while we talk a lot about different strategies and advertising to help attract some new business and investment into the village, the purpose of this would be to promote existing businesses within the village. Bartlett features, as all of you know, many unique businesses, many of which are unknown to village residents and area residents for whatever reason, whether they shop at a particular area or a particular development. A lot of high-quality businesses remain unknown to area residents. This would also be a nice way to showcase the talents of area residents, as well as providing some free advertising for these area businesses. I have attached, we brought this back to, or the EDC asked for us to bring this back to the board for some further direction. Jim and I had meetings with village administration, and we discussed this on a few occasions, and what we came up with, you can see this memorandum to Village Administrator Sammons from Paula Schumacher with some of the parameters of what we could turn this video contest into. The what would be Discover Bartlett and Shop Local, like we just talked about. We would ask for people to put local businesses first and foremost in this video rather than maybe parks that they enjoy or other features. Where this could be linked to the Discover Bartlett Facebook page as well as put onto the village website. This would be another good way of driving additional customers to both social media and the village website. For the who, we suggest these three categories, one being high school students, one being adults, and one the children, 13 and younger. The purpose of this, as you asked last month, to encourage the audience, Bartlett residents and visitors, to shop locally and to support local businesses and restaurants. The when is one of the questions we're posing tonight to the EDC in terms of the time frame for this contest. When would this be starting? How long would it go? Would this be a 1 month contest, 6 weeks? Go through the holiday season? When would this be? And how long should these videos be? Or perhaps other formats, like series of photos, or what would the format exactly be? We're assuming we're talking about videos here. Prizes. So far we've come up with gift certificates, $50 gift certificates from local businesses and recognition at a village board meeting. And how would we promote it? Once again, you can see the village has various media at its disposal, including the Discover Bartlett page, the village website, the cable station, and the newsletter. So back to my memo, we are now seeking input from the EDC regarding the time frame for this amateur video contest, how long the videos should be, whether to limit them, and also the format parameters. So with that, I hope you've had a chance to give it some consideration, and Jim and I look forward to hearing your suggestions on this.
Tony,
Yes.
is it in our scope to reject this task?
I'm sorry, to project.
Is it within our scope to reject this task and throw it back to the board?
In a simple word, no.
No, I personally...
If you don't want to do it, they won't do it.
I personally don't think it's an effective use of our time for this. The total award is $150. The quality of the video that you're going to get could be good to great. How much business is that actually going to add? Add up the value of everybody sitting at this table and how many hours we'll spend on it. And I think there are much better uses of our time and expertise than to decide if it should be a 60-second video and decide who's going to be a judge. And I think we can add a lot more value somewhere else. Personally, just my opinion.
It's not asking us to judge it, is it?
No, it's just asking to set up the contest. That's the direction. When the board gives the EDC direction, that's what they're looking for, your input on it. So it's difficult to tell them no, because they sent it out to you and you serve as advisory to them and discretion. Now, if you decide you don't want to do it, then you vote on it. I would have no choice to go back but to tell them you don't want to do that. But they'd get extremely angry.
Well, I just want to interject and just say I think that a creative contest to promote an esprit de corps within the village, especially as it relates to encouraging our community to continue to shop local. The issue with a video, though, is it has a very finite shelf life, and if we begin to put up video, if we have 3 videos that are going to be linked to the Facebook page or played on the cable channel, the reality is that those are going to become very stale and eventually nothing more than white noise and clutter on 2 media vehicles that we have that we're trying to use to drive business into downtown. I think there might be another opportunity for us to something beyond a video contest in order to promote more of the shop local initiatives. I think that I would toss it back to the board of directors in that we are still waiting for a proclamation or a proclamation from the mayor to encourage the residents here to shop local.
I agree that it might not have a long shelf life, especially as businesses go in and out of business. Someone could be the winner of the video and then the restaurant they love closes, So this could possibly, I think there's a way to manage this to accomplish partly what they're trying to accomplish, to give the residents an opportunity to brag a bit about Bartlett and encourage them to go to their favorite places. But it might have to be set up annually, to refresh it annually.
Right.
Or is it all this effort's going to go that's only going to run 3 to 6 months,
This probably would only run for a few months.
Yeah.
You're right, the shelf life is not infinite, of course.
Right.
I think it would be too early to declare it an annual contest before we at least tried it once.
Happens.
And I understand some of your thoughts about your hesitancy to get into this, but think of it, the way I'm thinking of it is a good way to engage residents, besides just print ads, to show somebody. I'm picturing even when it says 13 and under, like one of the videos my daughter would make that's just a minute or two long that might show a few things that she likes. I don't know if it's, in terms, like Toot Toots, for instance, or she happens to like the coin shop the best. So I think there is a place for this. It might not be all that everybody's envisioning in terms of a really major way to promote the village, but I think it could be pretty popular, if it's done right. People would be able to see it on the local cable station. And the Facebook page is getting more and more likes every month, so I think that would be a good venue to use it.
I had a question on the memorandum from Valerie Sammons dated 10/31/2014. There's a line in there, I don't know if you could clarify or anybody could. It says, the village board also wanted to include an opportunity for the high schools, local high schools, especially South Elgin High School Academy.
Right.
I'm not familiar anymore with high schools. My kids are out of there.
That's kind of, that I think that's one of the reasons that they wanted to do the video format, is because the high schools apparently have these academies where they're like local production centers, and then that's part of their high school class and task for the semester, similar like to Tony and we're all working with a Spartan marketing department at ECC. The high schools have these video academies, and that's some of the feedback that from the board is that that's why they wanted to encourage the high schools and do the videos, because they have those.
Well, then rather have a contest that, again, is finite in the scope that we understand it. Perhaps a better option would be then we reach out to all of those high schools, or maybe even the junior high schools that have media arts programs, and have them produce spots for the village. And I'm sure that those kids are going to be are looking for projects anyway. And again, those
that's
could be
the video contest part kind of was an offshoot of that, and so they
aren't
felt
we
that the
kind of-
contest.
Yeah, this is separate from that.
I'm confused as to whether we're taking this on or still discussing whether we're going to take it on as a board.
I personally feel this is a wonderful idea in a way to involve people into the area. First of all, earlier we discussed hardly any of our village residents is visiting our downtown area for any of the shoppings or restaurants. Very few. We want to pull from outside, but first of all we should start with our own resident. So in that case, when this type of things may not play an important role from marketing perspective, but I personally feel if children are involved, the family is involved, discussions is there, they go to the town, then shoot for the sake of competition, but at least then they're looking at those businesses and they're discussing, hey, wait, by the way, there was a Mexican restaurant, I never knew, like that. I think one small step, but a very good step towards what we are trying to achieve to improve the visitors to our downtown area. So whether to do or not contest, I personally feel we should do it from a commission point of it. Whether to discuss at length and go into a micro level, I guess we can go it in a very generic that yes, we should have it, and then various general points in a one meeting only we can decide and give, because this may not be in a very detailed, we may not go into very detailed discussions and spend 2, 3, 4 meetings on this. That's what I personally feel. But the result out of this would be great down the line, I personally feel. Yeah.
I think in terms of the EDC's involvement is that you look at this, we go ahead, we do it, the staff's going to be out there promoting it, and then we'll see what we get back, and I don't know if the board will want to judge it or if it's going to be the staff that's going to judge it. We'll bring back some of the videos that make the final cut, and we decide, and we're done with it. And then the winners go to the village board, they get their $50 gift card, and we put it up on the video outlets and media outlets that we have, and see how it shakes out. So that's kind of how we see it. I don't know what the board's going to do in terms of the grander picture of doing a full-fledged marketing video that's where they're hiring a professional. That whole discussion is just really bogging down. And so this, at least this part, they separated it out and said, let's, as Neon said, let's work with the community and get the awareness out there and get some feedback. And they felt this was a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
If we're going to do it, I would have some suggestions on ways to maybe make it more successful. I think, I don't know if $50 is enough of an incentive.
We could change that.
Yeah.
That was just threw that
Yeah.
out.
25 kids.
Yeah,
they get
I
$2
just don't
each,
think
yeah.
that that's enough, I just don't think that's enough incentive to get like a quality product. I'm not sure, actually. I mean, I thought last meeting we had tossed out a figure of $1,000. I don't know if like it's a pot of $1,000. It's maybe divide. If there's going to be 3 categories, maybe you take that $1,000 and you divide it up into 3. I'm not sure. It doesn't make it huge or anything like that. I do like the 3 different categories. I agree with Tony that the Facebook page is becoming more popular. I think that if you linked it to there, I think that people would watch it at least, I think people would watch it at least once. I think it would be important to ask Arts and Bartlett for their input because they run they run different contests and things like that. You had mentioned last month, Cecilia, about if anybody uses music in the video, there's licensing regarding the music and as to whether or not that's permissible. But I agree with Nyan, that I do think that it's a great conversation starter with families, and it would bring people into businesses. So I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but if they're going to do it, I think that, one of the other things they need to think of is, like, as far as the timing is concerned, how much time are you going to give? One of the things to consider, we're looking at high school students and people who are 13 years and younger. Okay, so they're going to be on school break. So when do you want this something that's completed before they go on their winter break, or do you want it to be something that's, that they get to work on while they're on break? Something.
Winter break, that's too quick.
It's too soon.
Yeah.
And we just have to make sure it's before the end of the year.
Yeah, and if it's going to be a
Before the end
school
of the year.
project, then they're obviously not going to be working on it.
College and
Yeah.
stuff like that, so it's
Yeah.
almost like March 15th.
Right. Yeah, because
before
if
end of
it's
the year, perfect, yeah. I also agree, before end of the year.
end of this
year.
school
School
year.
year.
And I think that,
That's a long time.
we limit our involvement in it if we don't have to be the judges.
Well, I think that they're just asking for our parameters, like if they're going to do it, I think that they're just asking like, okay, if we were to do it, what would our suggestions be, to make it successful?
Well, it looks like all we're being asked is to answer the question, when? The rest is
Yeah,
already there.
you're right.
Yeah,
It does sound like that $50.
and the
It sounded, the
prize.
$50 sounded like it was definite. It didn't sound like it was a question. Yeah.
We'll work on that.
In any single,
on the
I
price.
would go for $250.
So maybe that'd be one
That's
of our
my
recommendations.
suggestion.
Coming back is $250
Per category,
per category.
And I think 500.
What was
for
the
class.
dollar amount?
for $500 for what?
500 for the
250
class,
per
250
category.
for each of the others.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because
What's
a
that?
class, what's 250 going to do for class?
Yeah.
Kind of not much.
So how would you define, are you saying that it's going to be assigned as a class project, or?
Well, there's 3 categories, correct?
Well, the high school
there are
students,
3
so
age groups.
anybody in high school, so it doesn't have to be a group, it could be an individual.
It could be outside of that high school production group. It just, they kind of
So
started
you'd have a
talking
hard
about
time.
it, that it was this, that there is this high school production group, and let's give them a shot at it.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to just limit it to that
To individuals, yeah.
So I would say maybe make it the same amount for all 3 groups.
The 13 years and younger,
That's going to be a parent putting that together.
I was just going, in my mind.
That's good, that's,
It's good, yeah, you're right, it'll generate the conversation.
Or do we,
I like
do we substitute it for organization? Instead of 13 years and younger, some type of an.
Are we
org-
expected to come up with a recommendation tonight?
I think
Yeah,
they
we're
want to get a
hoping-
move on it,
yeah,
If you want to think about it.
It's not
you
that
could-
hard.
So we basically have to answer the who, what, why, where, and when, right?
Yeah, and they've given us
They've kind
the,
of given us the who, and maybe we need
it's like Cecilia said, they're only asking for the
then
when.
second one.
They're only asking for, when,
Well, it
how
could-
long
well,
do we
it-
give them?
Also the submittal requirements, whether, like, for instance, the library did one called a mixed media contest I saw over at the library. So that's one of my other questions, is whether we're just talking video also, or whether,
that's where I think
what do they mean by mixed media?
That's where I think a consult with Arts and Bartlett would be probably helpful.
Well, we're not really video experts, but I can see that a person might take a series of stills and put that in a video. You can do that on your computer with...
We've seen that, and
Yeah,
it works
it's
real
nice.
well.
And it can be nice, or they can shoot live video. The thing that concerns me about that is someone, doing a pretty nice quality thing, but just focusing on one business. So I think that's going to make it difficult to judge. People are going to have to do a variety of businesses, aren't they?
I think we write that in then. A
Well, I think
minimum-
that's part of the what. It's Discover Bartlett and Shop Local, and it's a video to promote shopping and dining. So I think if you had, you wouldn't eliminate somebody for just focusing on one business, but that video probably wouldn't win
Right,
because it
exactly.
doesn't meet the parameters.
Exactly.
But
Well-
I wouldn't tell somebody they couldn't submit it, but does it meet our guidelines, which is to promote generally the Village of Bartlett, and probably
See, and that makes it difficult to make an interesting video if you don't tell little stories about where you've been and what you've done.
Do you mean by that, Cecilia, tell the story of one organization?
No, well, think about 3 minutes.
that's a long time.
You're going to cover the whole town, or you're going to be really vague in talking about business in general, which is a boring video. You need little stories and little illustrations and photos of where you've been, and
I think you need to limit it to 30 or 60 seconds.
Yeah, I
A
think
3-minute video, no one's
long.
going to watch.
Right.
The average person watches a video for 7 to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. And so I think that needs to be kind of part of our rules, as we say 30 seconds or a minute. Kind of go back to that who, what, where, why, when, and
it would
the
be a
what.
challenge without focusing on an experience.
Yeah, there would be no message.
Yeah.
I agree with you. There would not be message. It would be colorful, some banks, some music, some pictures, and some buildings. Okay, maybe. So title is Bartlett. As you rightly said, in 30 seconds, if you have for whole village, then, but that's the challenge. They have to bring that in 30 seconds, you sell Bartlett. What you would do. That's actually...
Yeah, because I don't think you want to make the rules too tight. It'd be interesting to see what people came up with, The tighter you make the rules, the less entries you're going to have. And maybe you'll have some that just focus on one business, and you'll have others that are focused on multiple areas, or maybe it's the parks, or maybe it's, businesses, maybe it's the restaurants. There's different topics that can be covered. So, I wouldn't want to constrict the rules too much. I would kind of leave it open so you can see what you can get.
Yeah.
The quickest way this contest would be over is if we put it out there and we didn't get any entries.
Wow.
Right.
And then-
That would not
then
be
For
everybody-
$50,
yeah, you're
that
like,
might be what
"Boy."
you get.
Yeah.
For $50, you're
Why
going
don't-
to
That's what I'm more concerned
Why don't we
with.
start to answer the who, what, where, why, when?
Okay.
And if we have to
Sure.
put it off finishing it, we put
Yeah,
it
let's get it
finishing.
done.
Okay.
Because I think some of the things need a little tweaking, like the who. The age groups are 13 and under, and then I think you need to do 14 to 18, and then 18 plus, so that you're not actually excluding anybody.
Your 18-year-olds are still in high school.
Then you can make it 14 to 19, and then 19 plus.
Don't do that.
Like, just so you're not
I
excluding.
think that's fine.
Because by
Yeah.
looking at that, I'd be like, well, what about a junior high? Are they kids? And,
Sure.
just so nobody feels excluded, I guess.
I have one more question on that. I heard somebody say 30 to 60 seconds. I know that's the standard TV commercial that you see.
So would you say no longer than 60 seconds?
No, I would go for more, actually.
I was going to ask for if you think it could be a little longer than that, if somebody wanted to
I
hit
feel it
3 or
should be
4
longer.
different businesses.
We just say up to,
as you rightly said, nobody watches.
Do we say
This is not
up
an
to
ad.
1 minute,
This
2
is
minutes,
kind of-
3 minutes, 4
What
minutes?
do you want to make it?
Well,
I'd
how
say
long do
I
you
was-
sit and watch cute kitty videos on
30
YouTube?
seconds. I just watched a puppy learn how to howl today before I left. It was 20
Well, so-
seconds.
What do you-
20
what-
seconds?
what-
So let's answer the what, right? The what is a video to encourage people to shop and dine local.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, that's
what the
Right.
whole overall theme.
Yes, that should be titled.
And I think we need to word it that way rather than the way they worded it.
Say it again, Mike.
A video to encourage people to shop and dine locally.
Yep,
Encourage people
top and down, correct.
shop dine
Okay, you got it.
locally
And
or in Bartlett.
It's not mentioned over here,
In
but
Bartlett, I like that, yes.
Okay.
In Bartlett.
Right. We're not, exactly.
Well, and specify in Bartlett.
Yeah.
Local could be Hanover Park.
Yeah.
time slot not mentioned over here. I don't know in which section it will go, who, why, when, but I would say in case of how or anywhere, I would put it 2 minutes. If that's my suggestion. 2 minutes,
Up to 2?
up to 2.
We could put that in, or not, in
Yeah.
two. We could put that in 2 or in 1. What?
How
A-
long were
up-
you envisioning?
Up to a,
You know what, 90 seconds to
3-minute
2
video?
minutes. I don't want somebody to be disqualified because we're counting and they go to 94 seconds. That's all,
Yeah, that's
you know.
fine.
But yeah, we don't want to watch them, 3 minutes, 4 minutes long either. So
30 to 120 seconds?
Sure. Up to 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I think
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's difficult for an amateur to develop a concise message, so I think we're going to see a little bit of running on, which can be adorable.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's some nice
way to
ones.
So who would be collecting the entries at the village?
We would,
Village.
Okay.
the staff would.
To the,
Okay, and you want them in which format?
What's that?
And what format would you want those in an MPEG format?
is there
Do you want
required
them to
format?
Email them to you, or give them to you on a USB key, or how do you want these? Because they're not small files.
USB is the best way.
That would be
The
best,
USB, probably,
USB.
we would have to put that out there. I don't want to
Is
just
it a
get an
non-
email. Sometimes you get an email and you're like, oh, it just gets passed around and all of a sudden, poof.
Yeah.
Right.
gone.
Well, the problem is, I don't know if you have limits on what you could accept.
So you're going to say that you want an MPEG format brought to the village on a non-returnable USB key, because you don't want to be responsible for returning them,
You're
right?
giving $50 gift and you're asking them to spend another for the USB non-return.
Well,
Or you could say, or on a CD, or burnt to a CD. That way it would.
Yeah, because you
Now-
definitely want to protect yourselves.
I've only found a couple other places that have done these, and really none in Illinois. Some of them had them post right to their Facebook page. And I'm seeing shaking the head no, because I don't know what kind of risk that, is that what the concern is, what people would be
Absolutely.
posting
Would it be
to it?
viewable by everybody once it gets posted there?
We can have
I'm sorry?
If it's posted, everybody can view
Yeah,
it.
then we,
Yeah, I wouldn't
Right.
do that.
We can have some sort of a website created just to upload these films. Nobody can view except administrator, probably, and everybody is given that link to upload.
That
They
would
cannot
be,
access, they cannot download anything from there. Individually can upload.
what would be easier for staff?
that would be easier. Not necessarily for staff, but like we were saying, for people to come in and travel to Village Hall to drop off a USB port. It would be easier if somebody could do it, convey it to us in a digital
And I think a
format.
primary
It has to be something digital.
But Tony, then they
I-
could
a
see the
primary-
downtown businesses.
Again,
You know what? You know what? I keep hearing downtown, but I think this could be a village-wide contest.
It should be.
Somebody could say they love Bannerman's.
Right, no, it should
Somebody
be-
could say
it
they
should
love
be
Dogfather.
The video I would produce would be Bannerman's during a hockey game. I mean, and just shoot the crowd and see the people. That's exciting if you've ever, if you're not a big hockey fan, you'd still get caught up in it. But that's the one I keep thinking of. And not that I like Bannerman's that much, but I like it. When you go there when there's a hockey game, it's pretty exciting. Or people might film skiing, a snowboarder skiing down Villa Olivia. That kids do that. That's a big draw.
I know.
You know, so there's a lot of potential out there.
So could we just put in the what? A video in parentheses up to
2 minutes.
2 minutes
Right.
to encourage?
I would talk
Well-
to your IT people as to how you want to accept it. I mean, just to make sure that you don't,
Yeah, we'll have to check
You know,
with-
agree to accept it in a format that could bring something bad into the,
And
check
convenient
with the
with
IT
people also
Okay.
to submit.
Well,
It's a good suggestion.
Donna raises a good point about the format that you receive it in, because you may need to have whatever format they deliver it to you in redigitized so it can be uploaded to the cable channel.
Right. Yeah, that's why we'll check with IT and see, because, there's some stuff that you can't
Yes.
transfer over there.
They will insert into the final document.
The
that
cable channel doesn't show video, it's just stills, right?
Well,
it's
it
capable
does,
of doing it.
yeah, it's capable of doing it, but it does just show stills, yeah.
I mean, they've shown
We
parades
don't.
and things like that.
Have they?
In other towns, they have.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I've never seen video on 17.
No.
This could be the first endeavor into that.
I think we
The
could actually
Facebook
just
page
leave
would
it
be the one
blank
that'll
for
put it
staff
out
to
there.
fill in with turning in this format. You guys would then plug in whatever IT tells you to,
And you know what?
instead of it coming back to us another time.
Other way of promoting and making it more public is when we get all the entries, I assume about 50 or 60, though there be a winner 1, 2 or 3, I would encourage to show all, market to the all resident with by way of emails or by way of your newsletter that on so and so date, these 2 hours are all the kids who have prepared videos. So those 2 minutes, 20 videos are going to be shown. People would be enjoying the Bartlett by itself.
Yeah.
I hope there's 30 to 60 videos.
I think that's a great idea. I say put them all up on the cable channel.
Put them out there.
Put them all out there.
So everybody will be,
And then there's like the Academy Awards at Bartlett.
and people
Yeah.
will be talking about Bartlett at least that evening.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Put them all up.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to promote this contest in a way.
It'll
We can,
be great.
I mean,
And then can we
we do that, we
rent
don't have to
Klieg
give out any
lights out
prizes,
front and then show them in the village hall,
Save
like a
money.
film debut?
Well, let's just get a few submitted first. and
Yeah,
then
see
let's
how
see
many
what the
we get.
results are.
Yeah,
and if it's
maybe
big.
that'll be next December.
okay, we are going towards a discussion of a post-contest, rather we'll.
That's right.
Focus on a contest.
I figure I'll submit one myself if nobody else does.
But it's encouraging. I mean, this is, I see this as one of the good step. You can put it in a waiting area all the time. It's coming.
We can put it out here, we have a TV that, that they run things on all the time, so.
But you need to, and your lawyer will tell you this, to reserve the right to refuse any.
Right.
Yeah, I put on the end of my memo just that we're going to add some legalese and some fine print, as you will.
Have we concluded about the price, the gift money? I mean,
I think we suggested
I
250.
put down a suggestion for a larger pot, as Donna put it earlier, and then I put down 250 per category was a suggestion.
and we can reach out to all the local businesses to sponsor that, anybody who is interested.
We could certainly approach a few of them. I think the businesses would, I'm sorry, did you say
That
to
could be a
help
conflict of
sponsor them or
interest.
to
They should
promote
not-
it?
That could be a conflict of interest. They
Yeah.
should not be sponsoring the contest.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the village will pay will give, it'll be in a form of like a gift card or something like that.
Yeah,
So.
this will be out of the marketing
rather
line
than cold,
item.
no cold, hard cash. It'll be some type of certificate that they'll have to give.
Okay.
If there's any concern that we would be limited or the number of entries might be limited by putting in the contest that you are going to publish all entries as long as they meet the criteria. Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, or I'm
Right.
sorry, their 30 seconds, 30 to
yeah.
120
That's
seconds of fame.
I think,
Yeah.
I think you will get a considerable amount of entries
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
doing
that's
that.
a good idea.
and I
And then
did,
you just have,
Yeah.
literally, the Academy Awards at Bartlett, you've got one winner in every category.
Yeah, I mean, the the board member that thought it up thought it was a great idea, and he's going with it, so. Well, that's good input.
Thank you.
Okay. I think
that
we covered all
covers
the
it.
points, right?
I think that covers it.
Yeah, we've got plenty of suggestions.
And the date we were going to say was 3/15 for submission?
We're going to.
3/15
want to
was
go
the
up
ending date?
that far with it?
All submissions due by 4
I had-
o'clock?
You know, it may,
Fifty-five?
actually, it may be helpful if that submission date coincided with the end of spring break, since it would allow some kids that aren't going to be going away an opportunity to work on that while they've got some free time.
Well, then let me ask this. When do you suggest the day we announce it? Would you say,
After the holidays?
Right away.
I would say,
As
yeah.
soon as possible.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Why do you,
Well, then why don't we move it up?
I think it's a long time.
Because December's pretty much lost, you know.
Right.
Especially you're
Maybe
talking,
maybe January.
Be January,
When they're back in
February.
school.
It'd be
Yeah,
kinda neat
January,
to-
February, and the middle of March, so you got 2.5 months. That's
Or,
gonna
and
prom-
maybe the deadline is April 1st, you know.
when's the next newsletter, too? Because, I mean, you saying that you're
The
promoting.
next
in the-
newsletter is probably going to be out.
Yeah,
it's
that's
that-
already
And
going.
we're doing that coupon insert for that.
So then it won't be in that one, so,
Right.
and that's one of your main ways to,
Be
that's one of your listed
February.
ways to
February
promote.
1st, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be announced other ways, but
how long is this campaign going to run for? Huh?
That's
Well,
what
I-
we're deciding.
from January
Yeah.
to,
I have until
how
April
long are they
1st is the
gonna
last
show it?
suggestion.
No, how long are we going to promote it?
So several months long.
April 1?
do you think
Long
April
time.
1? January to April 1, something like that?
Okay, thank you.
All right. The board will be happy.
Okay, next item on the agenda will be the discussion on Brewster Creek Business Park Luncheon coming up this Saturday, Friday, I believe.
Friday, yeah, thank you. By Saturday, it'll be done. We've talked about traditional means of promoting business, including in Brewster Creek Business Park here, many times. And we talk about using ads in print media, most of all Chicago industrial properties, attendance at trade shows, information on the village website, and also prospecting directly to companies and their real estate representatives. This is another strategy, is hosting events, which is a powerful marketing tool and a great way to generate interest in a business, industry, or location. This is the goal of such an event is to get potential and current customers in the door while you have their attention. They're sitting there at a luncheon. We will present some information to them regarding the business park. With this strategy in mind, the village hosted a Brewster Creek Business Park open house last fall. This was done in conjunction with Choose DuPage and held at the Auto Truck Group facility at 1420 Brewster Creek Boulevard. Last year, there were about 75 attendees, many of whom were industrial real estate brokers or site selectors for companies. A lot of people ask me who's the target audience for this luncheon, and the target audience in this case are industrial brokers in the Chicago market. We want people who represent industrial and warehouse and light manufacturing companies. Many of them are already aware of the business park, or they've seen it, or they've toured it at some point, but you'd be still surprised at how many are not aware of it. And it's not on their radar screen for whatever reason when they're touring the area for potential sites. So with that in mind, staff once again is working on, I would say has organized, but I'm still working on it and will be working on it pretty much much of the day, the next few days, on a luncheon to be held at a vacant 50,000 square foot facility. This is located at 1291 Humbrock Circle. Interestingly enough, it's the very first building that was constructed in the business park, and that was about 11 years ago. I was just looking at the listing for the building today. It was constructed in 2003. This particular building's been vacant for 3 years. So in my quest to find a great space to host this, many businesses were interested but couldn't host it this fall for whatever reason. Some of them are doing construction projects, and others don't have the adequate space to have that many people over. I wrote last week, as of this writing, staff had received over 70 RSVPs, but actually that was a week ago, so now we're at 100. And yeah, and I also wrote with 20 of them industrial real estate brokers. Now it's about 40. So it's not 100 out of 100, of course, but there's people, quite a few finance professionals. I've received RSVPs from at least 3 ED commissioners, and there's people also coming who are in staffing agencies and flooring companies and property managers and all types of associated businesses associated with a business park. So what I've attached for you behind the memo is a copy of the invitation that was sent out. You can see the information on the building and the time and the location. It's at 12:30 this Friday, and then the last page that I included that was sent via an email blast, and that's actually how most of the brokers who are coming responded. As I said, it's going to hopefully be a good event. We co-host it with Choose DuPage. It's a great way to get people to not just look at Brewster Creek on a computer or an ad or having me tell them about it at a trade show, but to come see it with their own eyes. So I'm excited about that aspect of it.
Tony, was there ever any thought of creating some type of driving tour for them to go on afterwards, to stake out a couple places for them to see?
After last year's event, I certainly contemplated doing it for this year. After this year's event, I'm most definitely going to contemplate doing it in the future. With that many attendees, it would be difficult. So the one thing I can think of is we would have to put some limitation to how many people.
I meant more of a self-driving, so you hand them a map and of Brewster Creek, and if there were certain things, types of places they wanted to see, you could point them out on the map, and they could just go and drive to them.
Yes.
Nothing where you would have to
There's just
hold
one,
everybody's hand. And
interestingly enough, there's probably 6 or 7 brokers total, or 8, who have buildings listed in the business park, but one particular brokerage has more than half brown commercial. There's a few others that have some of the larger buildings. I've invited all of them to bring flyers and to open their buildings for tour, and only really with one response. There was one of the brokers with a listing in the park asked me if he could. So that's something I'll be mentioning there, during the open house. But I see what you're saying too.
What about if all you did was provide them with an overhead shot of Brewster Creek and highlighted or circled the units that have vacancy?
Yes, we have a vacancy list that we hand out quite a bit. The only issue I can see with printing out 100 of them is it's 20 pages, color double-sided. But we're definitely going to bring a few. And last year, they pretty much all got picked up. There were about 75 attendees last year, and about 20 of them were brokers. And they picked up the listings. And of course, every time somebody calls an inquiry, well, number one, it's already on our website. but also I email it out very frequently, so. But that's a good suggestion, because that is the goal of this. But when the brokers come out and see it for themselves, many times they'll follow up afterwards or give me or Jim their card and ask about it. So there was, I'm going to say there were 2 brokers last year that followed up with searching for space in the park after the open house.
I think that, like you've got the new, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but you've got that new tenant that's moving in out there that's huge. They got a lot of publicity about moving in out there. And so I think that it brought a lot of interest. I think there's a possibility that there might be an increased interest in Brewster Creek. And so I think that we really need to market it now while it's hot and while you have everybody there. So, even if it is printing 100 copies of 20 pages double-sided, if you have an opportunity to, like when you have people who are interested, I think you really need to strike it and not miss the opportunity and hope that they'll call us or, contact you afterwards. I mean, if they walk out and throw it in the garbage can, oh well, but there might be, if just one person who is really interested picked it up and took a spot, then it was all worth it, I think.
Exactly. That's the goal of this open house event. That's why it was, we talked about doing it at the EDC probably close to 2 years ago at this point. So that is the goal of it. This one, we don't have a video presentation yet. No, at this point, it's just set up basically like a luncheon with some easels and some handouts. The mayor's supposed to give a short presentation, and then somebody from Choose DuPage talks about the county. Last year, we had it at Auto Truck, so somebody from Auto Truck spoke about it. The owner of this particular building has passed on saying anything about his particular building, but there are a few people coming who have expressed some interest in that particular building. It would be great to sit here a year from now and say we helped fill that building because of this open house. That would be a very worthwhile goal.
Is it possible to get the local newspapers out? Just nosy around, maybe you'll take some pictures, you give them a call, tell them what you're doing.
I think they'd be happy if we invited them to do that. We haven't done this for press coverage yet, but that's certainly something we can consider.
And that we have to check with our hosts to see what they want in terms of exposure, but we certainly, we have the Herald and the Examiner and those papers, so there's some confidentiality with it, but if you invite the press, it could be all over the media, and some of these guys may not want that. So it's just something, because we're co-hosting it, and the co-hosts sometimes, like Auto Truck, they didn't want people doing certain things, but when we got there, it wasn't as, it wasn't like people were just looking around in the factory, but sometimes they don't want anybody taking photos of the big board, so to speak. So, but in this one, it's a vacant building, but we're gonna, we'll have some displays. We have all the handouts, so there's a lot of information given out at this. So.
And we keep our website quite updated, am I right? Because nowadays everybody is interested to go right on a website. Once they are interested, they're going to take a link from you and go home, and then they're going to see on a web page and a website. All this listing is already there, I guess, right, on a website?
It's all on.
It is, yeah.
So maybe that's also one thing that if you can send them the link so that they just click in on that page. They don't have to browse and go to the page. That way we can send them. Of course, material will be there, but along with this, even as a follow-up, all the participants, very next day when you send an email, thank you email, that link can also be there. They can click.
Yeah, we have that, and the village is going to be launching a new website soon.
Okay.
So, I don't know when, but it's going to be at the next board meeting. They're going to give a demonstration of it.
You mean an updated one?
It's a
Redesigned and updated,
Redesigned
yeah.
one, when they hired a company to do a redesign. But all that information is still going to be on it with the map. We have a big map gallery that's on there, and people just go right to the website, and they can get everything they want.
Okay. You can note my name also, I'll be there.
Okay. 101 now.
12:30. 12:30, right?
Okay.
Tony, you can go to 102.
Okay.
1-1. Okay.
Okay. That ends the discussion on the business luncheon, and we'll move on to the next agenda item, which would be new business.
There's one thing I want to point out. I sent a link earlier today on an email on a new application called Connect to Cook County. Now, we talk a lot about things that we do with DuPage County, but Cook County has provided this new tool. Commissioner Smedilla suggested I send it throughout the EDC in case some of you don't get things directly from the county. And this is actually going to be a very valuable economic development tool. This provides a link to various demographic type reports and business reports that in previous years either you would have to subscribe to as a village. In some cases, I could get a limited amount of these reports from Choose DuPage County, but of course that would be, strictly DuPage County sites. And this application lets you download all types of different reports that throughout my economic development career would range $75 to $100 each per report. And now I have the ability to download almost a limitless amount of them. And what I've handed out at your places there, you can see one of them is a demographic and income profile. You can see soon as this was emailed to me back on Halloween, I downloaded, I think, about a dozen different reports. As Jim just mentioned, as the new website gets upgraded, you'll see a lot of these demographic reports on there. Now, if you go from town to town and look at their economic development websites, they all have demographics reports of some sort. Bartlett does too. In some cases, you'll see them dated 2008, 2010, 2012, as we get them. The main ones, for the main intersections and the village as a whole, I get an updated report every year. I always get one for the downtown, I always get one for the intersection of 59 and Stearns, and I always get one for the whole village. So now each one of us here will have the ability to create these reports, on our own, essentially instantly. It's going to be helpful for those towns and those people who know how to utilize this tool. And when somebody wants a demographics report, we're not going to send them one that's dated 2009. We'll send them one that's dated the same day that they request one. And it's something we'll make sure as an EDC I think we should start looking at the website again in early next year. Make sure that we have some real updated and pertinent information. I only put two there. One of them is they call retail market potential. The other one they call demographic and income profile. But they've got all kinds of demographics reports you can download from there. I just was playing with it and downloaded about, I'm going to say 10 or 12 reports. They're not all 100% accurate, as you would imagine, but as long as we're doing apples to apples when we send it, as opposed to what other communities send, these are valuable reports. So that's something I wanted to point out. And if anybody has, when you get a chance to click on it, on the link that I sent today, if you have any questions about how do you download these reports, let me know. For the time being, it says something like, test a sample report. It looks like it's a testing site now, but you can, and when I looked at the drop-down list, it wasn't just Bartlett, it looked like every town to me. So you can download demographics reports from other communities as well. Any questions or comments on that? Okay.
Tony, you mentioned that you'd be sending these demographic reports to those making inquiries to the village. When you say that you're going to be able to send them the same day, is this data going to be delivered in real time from the county? Or did they indicate how often they're going to be updating this information?
It's all created from geographical information systems. So if we went after the meeting to download a report, on the bottom of the report would say November 10th, 2014. The data might be the same as what they had, in the report dated October 31st. These aren't, I'm not 100% expert at how these are created, but I've met with people before who've sold these. They take, the base that they start with is the Census Bureau, but they take information from the economic census. They take traffic counts from IDOT. They take all types of reports, filings. If you wanted to run something about vehicles, they would take data from the Secretary of State's office, and they could give you a pretty good idea how many cars are owned in Bartlett and how old they are. So this particular company, ESRI, takes data from probably 100 different sources and creates these demographics reports. So that's kind of a long answer, but I would be sending it if somebody called and said, hey, I'm thinking of opening a pet supply store. Do you have any data on pets in Bartlett? And I've been asked that before, and there hasn't been any data to send. What you send is how many people, what are the income, how many houses, and then a national average of how many pets. But these would drill down a little further than that to give a better idea of how many would be in Bartlett as opposed to Streamline.
So we can all feel confident that the data is coming from reliable sources, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I think what I would challenge the commission to do is to actually take a closer look at some of these reports, and we should probably start a discussion as to how we can actually use this data in order to encourage businesses to come in. So rather than waiting for the potential pet shop owner to contact us, how can we use this data to reach out externally to potential retailers to come into our village?
That's a real good idea. That's how it should be used. I mean, for both, to provide information as the requests come in. I mean, most of the businesses I've met with in the past years, and there have been quite a few have opened this year, they've all looked at demographics for the most part. Marco's was very interested in the demographics. Delicious as well, but he was more familiar with the village. People who come into town, like the new auto parts store that's coming, they don't really have a firm grasp on the village. I mean, they do a lot of research, but these demographics reports definitely help them. Helps prove your case to them. So it's going to be a valuable tool.
Did you say this was both Cook and DuPage?
This particular service is provided through Cook County. From what I could tell, you could go onto any site and generate a demographics report on it. I don't know how long that's going to last, so I'm going to download quite a few while that's available.
So the statistics here covers the whole village of Bartlett, not
Yeah.
just Cook.
Oh, right. This I just brought 2 reports instead of all 12 of them, but this is for Bartlett Village.
Yes, you can see.
You can see right up at the top, and you can run reports that'll say, mostly retailers look at radius rings around a potential site. I can tell you that most people they want 1, 3, and 5 mile radius ring demographics reports. Some of them look at drive times. I've met with a lot of businesses that don't talk about mileage at all. They talk about drive times. And I haven't generated those reports yet with this, but it looks like you can do drive time reports on it as well. You can say from a 10-minute drive time from 228 South Main Street. I want demographics. And it'll create an odd-shaped polygon. It won't be like a square or a circle. It'll have zigzags all over what they consider drive time.
So what I understand, this data and information what we get, though it has been managed by Cook County mentioned over there, but the data is overall, like if we are talking about a population of a Bartlett, mentioned 41,000 something, it means DuPage part of the Bartlett and Cook.
Right, all of Bartlett.
So all the data are for the whole village.
Right. But I wanted to also specify so you understand, you can generate these reports, radius ring and drive time reports from a specific site.
That is good.
A lot of retailers and restaurants just, they're less concerned with political boundaries of borders of towns as to where their customer base is. Like all of you shop at places that are outside Bartlett. And, even though you pass, into another community, whatever it is, Streamwood or St. Charles or Schaumburg or whatever, they're looking at drive time radius, and then 1 and 3 and 5 mile rings also. So a lot of times, if somebody's talking about the downtown, they'll look at the whole village demographics, but also what they're going to look at real closely is the 1 and perhaps even 2 mile ring right around a specific site in the downtown. Depends on what type of business it is.
So I would like to let you know, the next 2 months I will not be here. I'll be traveling out of country. So I'll be back in February.
Okay, thanks for letting us know.
I have a question. I might be under continuing new business. Has there been any further development in the business that wants to do the marijuana, medical marijuana?
Punt this to Jim.
Went up in smoke.
I'm going to punt this like the bear.
Yes, that was a joke. There's no decision made by the state. They applied for Bartlett. The growing facility received its special use for an area in the business park. And we also have a dispensary that wants to locate in the business park that's just starting to go through its special use process. But those 2 businesses also submitted applications to the state for their state marijuana licenses, and that the state has not made any final decisions on that. And I don't know the time frame. Many people were saying it wouldn't happen until after the election. Now that the election has occurred, nobody's giving us any time frame like, is it going to be before the new governor takes office or before this existing governor leaves office? So it's kind of like in their hands. But you'll read about it when it gets approved. I just had one other thing to add. Maybe the older commissioners who have served on the EDC a long time might have known Stephen Kane, one of our plan commissioners, passed away last week. And so his funeral was actually today. He was a 21-year member of the plan commission. So you may have met Steve at at the Christmas parties in the past and that, but he succumbed to a long battle with cancer. So.
Okay, last item on the agenda would be the adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.